it's Deanna, and I am on tonight. I'm Deanna from Stitches Quilting, and I wanted to talk about quilt labels today and different ways that you can make them and different things that you can do. I am actually making one for the Live Well, Live Strong quilt. So I wanted something a little bit more colorful on my quilt label. So this is the front of the quilt right here. And it's a quilt that it's about health and wellness for women. There's 26 quilt blocks, and each one signifies a different aspect of health and wellness for women. So what I wanted to do was to create a quilt label that had a picture of the quilt, and then on the picture of the quilt, it actually said strength, or it said genuine, or content, or calm, love, hope, what all of the different quilt blocks signify. So I really wanted to print off a really nice, bright, brilliant picture of this quilt. So I tried two different methods. The first one, the one that worked really well for me, was to use the computer printer fabric method. And this type of computer printer fabric, hi Donna, thank you. It is really a fun label. I'm curious how all of you guys make your labels, but you can actually use a laser or an inkjet printer for this computer printer fabric. So what this actually is a piece of fabric that is backed with like some wax paper that you run through your printer, and it comes out printed. Let me grab this other one that's right over here. It comes out printed on it. Oh, no, that was another one. It's right here. It comes out really nicely printed with the fabric on it, and you can see the fabric and the print that is actually there. What's really nice about this type of product, from what I'm aware, is that you can purchase this at Walmart or Joann's, any type of basic box store. But what's really nice about this is you can actually run it through your printer, and I feel like I got a really good saturated image. So say, for example, you wanted to do a photograph of somebody. Say you were making a quilt for a grandchild and you wanted a picture of you as a grandma on there so that they could remember which grandma actually made that for them, and then you put the information on there. I really think that this method is a better method to get a more saturated design. Now, I did do this other method, and it didn't work well for what I was doing. I think that this would work really well if I was just, hi, how are you doing? You have a question. When you wash the quilt, does the ink stay? So yes, the ink does stay when you wash the quilt on this type of fabric. But when you purchase, this is printer fabric, and same thing with this method too. But you need to be specific when you actually purchase what you do. Be sure to know if you have a laser printer at your home or an inkjet printer, or if you're gonna have something printed on, say, a Photoshop, like Kinko's or Office Depot or something like that. Take your packaging with you so that they're using it on the right machine. So this one over here, it actually prints off, and I have some samples I can show you. Let me see if I can grab it. Hold on for just one moment. I'm gonna just grab it. It's right over here, and I'll show you how that printed off. Here it is, right here. So let me come underneath here. Oh, sorry guys. Just kind of knocked this over. I'm using my charging cord while I'm doing this live. So this other paper that is right here, you actually, this is actually meant for, I'm not sure. You know what? Well, I'm not sure which kind of printer. This might only be, works on any colored laser copy. So I do, and it says a copier. So I put this through my laser printer, which I would think that would work. But when you print it off the shiny side, and then on the back side, it kind of has these circles on here. So you have to know which side it goes through. And then you iron it on to just regular fabric. But when I ironed it on, you can see it pulled off a lot of the saturation, which is fine, which is just fine. I'm gonna definitely use that method for some other quilts I'm working on. But this Live Well, Live Strong quilt is unique. So I had a very specific need, which if anyone has purchased the pattern, I've designed the pattern and I sell the pattern at my store online, and it's in the description on YouTube. But I actually have designed a file for you guys now so that if you want to have a printed file like this on your back of your label that has the quilt and what the quilt block meanings are for it, I do have a file that you can use for that. So, so I wanted to show you what this is like so that you guys have that available. I will have that available. I might even have it available where you can maybe, you know, on my online store where you can print it off and you can actually purchase it from me. So I went ahead and I had this portion of my binding still open on this quilt. Where are you off to, J-Man?
Joe's house.
Ah, okay, fun. Okay, love you too. So on this, I kind of am leaving this open up here, my binding, because I'm going to close my binding around this quilt label. This is kind of at the top of my quilt. Typically, we see quilt labels towards the bottom corners or the bottom center of a quilt. This is where my binding was still open, so I put it up here. You don't need to enclose it with your binding. It just is maybe a little bit sturdier. I also, so on my label, I put Live Well, Live Strong. Is it backwards? It's reversed. Let me see if I can fix that for you guys. Nope, I don't see it there. Let me go here and see if I can flip it. I'm sorry, I should have flipped that earlier. It says Live Well, Live Strong quilt, because that's the name of the quilt. And it says designed, pieced, and quilted by Deanna Wall, 2018-2019. Because I pieced the quilt in 2018. I long arm quilted the quilt in 2019. Thank you. And then down here I put, if found, please return to 801. I put my phone number there. I first had, if lost, please call, you know, that mine. And my husband was like, no, if it's found, Deanna. I thought that was cute. But some people even do like the pattern, what was the name of the pattern, what fabrics they used. If it's a gift, they do a little gift message on there. But really, you can use just a Sharpie marker and just some regular white cotton fabric or whatever fabric you think will work. Right on that fabric and put a quilt label on your quilts. I have some quilts that are not labeled. So I need to, you know, because there's just a bunch that my kids just started using right away that I never went and put the label on. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I stitch this label on. So it's on there. I've stitched from here all the way around the sides, and I'm coming around over here. I'm using a double thread through my needle. So, and I'm hand stitching this on. And look, I got a pretty big knot there. Maybe I shouldn't use such a long thread, right? Kind of silly. I hate it when I knot up my threads, especially on live video, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see if I can unknot this. I hate that. Okay, so anyways, oh, I think I got it. Okay, I unknotted it. That is a long thread. I cut it too long. I just didn't want to have to like do it again. You know what I mean? And have like another thread to do. Okay, come through there. Okay, it came through. Okay, so, but what I did is I've got a double thread here because I feel like a double thread is gonna put it on a little bit stronger than what maybe I originally might do. So let me pull this back up for you guys. And I'm just stitching this on by hand. And when I come up, you can see right where I came up right there. I'm putting my needle down exactly where I came up. And I'm coming back, traveling through the batting of the quilt, and then coming back up in over to my left. So, and then pulling that through. Let's go ahead and pull that the rest of the way through. We got like a little comic thing going on there. Okay, let me pull my thread taut. Looks like one of my threads broke. But I do use a double thread, but one of my threads broke, but that's all right. So then we're gonna go ahead and bring this up and over again. And I just kind of keep doing this until I've got all the sides of my thread. All four sides of my quilt label labeled. So, and it's just, you know, just for genealogical reasons, I've heard of women finding like cathedral window quilts at like thrift stores. Boy, if I found something like that, or, you know, a paper pieced quilt, you know, at a thrift store, if there was a label on it, you know, you could kind of get it back maybe to the original family, possibly. You never know. Anyways, so there's just lots of different stories of different quilts being found. But even if you have a quilt and you have it labeled, you can get your quilts appraised, but you do need to have a label on your quilts and have them appraised, but they do need to be labeled, but just for genealogical reasons and other reasons. So there's many different ways to do labels. So does anybody have feedback of how they do their labels? Now, I would not normally do one just so colorful, but for this Live Well, Live Strong quilt, I wanted the meaning of each of the blocks on there because this is a quilt about health and wellness for women. And if someone doesn't remember what a quilt block is, you know, on the front side, they can refer to the back. Be kind of fun to embroider it, wouldn't it? So there's so many different ideas that you can do. You could print your labels. You could use a Sharpie marker for them. You could hand embroider your labels. You could machine embroider your labels. There's just so many different methods of making quilt labels, and there is nothing that's wrong either. Every single method is right and is good and wholesome, and I mean, you know, any quilt is just spectacular. We just want to kind of document what we're doing. So once again, just to recap, and I'm going to be coming around the circle on here, but just to recap, this is the product that I kind of felt was better for this brighter label. I think it would work better maybe for images too. So computer printer fabric. Just when you purchase it, be careful to note what kind of printer it says to use. So this one says it can be used with your laser or inkjet printer. So you'll have a better response or a better outcome. Then after you make this, you do need to take the wax paper off. So I made two. And this one, I need to peel off that wax paper, and then it's just the fabric all by itself. So there's like a piece of wax paper behind the fabric. So anyways, okay, any other tips or tricks that you guys can suggest? Please comment in the comments below. Please subscribe to Deanna at Stitches Quilting. Turn on your post notifications. We'll be doing a new block this week. This last week for the health and wellness quote, we did a block all about self-care, and it was a bow tie block. This next week, our block is going to be on balance. So you can purchase the quilt pattern for the Live Well, Live Strong quilt at my website, which is in the description below. It's a quilt I designed that's all about women's health and wellness. And you can just follow me on my blog or on my website. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're comfortable with. We do have a sew-along going on with this quilt where you can post your pictures of your quilt blocks each week and maybe some of the things that you worked on for self-care. So for me, this last week for self-care, I actually went to a quilt guild meeting because sometimes I don't get myself out of the house enough. And for self-care, I went and I attended a quilt guild meeting, and it felt just so spectacular to get out and to go do something. So I hope you guys feel inspired to maybe go and at least label some of your quilts and get some of those labels done, and don't feel intimidated by it. Even if you do a label with a Sharpie marker, it's a win. You just need to get those quilts labeled and done, and I've got several that I need to label that are from probably 20 years ago that my kids just used and used and used, and that they wanted to use them so fast by the time I finished the quilt that I didn't have a quilt label on it. So anyway, so I love you guys tons. I hope you guys are having a great evening, and we will see you guys a little bit later. Have a good one, and go get your labels, your quilts all labeled. So anyways, we'll see you a little bit later, and have a good one, and it's good to see you guys. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.